morning and welcome to Skits and Quibbles. It's Precocious Lotus here, or Dr. Audrey Tang if you watch Mental Health Matters. Today is a very special day. I'm in the kitchen of Ashley Alymann, home cook, and he is going to cook for us today. And not only that, he is going to share his recipes with you, and for the next 2 weeks coming up, he is going to do a Skits and Quibbles takeover, which means he's got loads of yummy things to share, yummy things to eat. And so for all you home cooks out there, it may be worth tuning in and giving things a go. But to warm you up, because I haven't forgotten, we do need to do a little bit of burlesque. I was just going to talk to you about expression and making things pop on stage, because certainly when Ash is going to be talking about cooking, it's all about making things pop in your mouth. But on stage, I want you to really think about not just lifting an arm, but really pushing that arm up. I want to see a little bit of something behind that move instead of just lifting your leg up. We really want to bring that leg up, bring the body up, really pull everything in. So just remember, when it comes to dancing, when it comes to performance, don't just put the arm out, stick the arm there, put the arm up, whatever you've been told as part of that choreography. Really express, really push. I like to call it giving it a bit of an impulse, getting a little bit of an extra zhuzh to your day. So are you ready? Because join me, we're going to watch Ashley Alymann prepare his scones.
Hello, hi, I'm Ashley and I'll be sharing with you my scones recipe. This is my take on scones. I've tweaked a family recipe. My mum used to do it, my grandmother used to do it. But this is how I make it now. I added in one or two little things, which my mum loves now. So every time I make for my mum, it's got to be this recipe. And I'm sharing it with you today. Wet ingredients first. I have got 170 mLs of milk. So that's just under a cup of milk. Into that, I'm going to be adding about a teaspoon. I've got apple cider vinegar, but you can use any plain vinegar, or even a squeeze of lemon, and that works well. What it does is, it's going to acidify the milk, and it just helps with the rising process. It's also a way of making buttermilk if you can't get buttermilk. And you will see in a while it'll start to curdle a bit. And then to that, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, I like this because it gives a lovely, lovely aroma. And that goes in there as well. Now, you want to leave this aside and just let it come to room temperature. You don't want your milk cold. Somehow it doesn't work with very cold milk. So leave it out on the counter. If it's a cold day, maybe heat it up just a tiny bit, but not hot. You just don't want it cold. And then to that, I have got 350 grams of self-raising flour. You can use all-purpose flour or plain flour, but then you need to add extra raising agent. But because I'm using self-raising flour, I don't have to use that much. But I have got 1 teaspoon of baking powder in here as well. So with self-raising flour, you use 1 teaspoon of baking powder. If you're using plain flour, I would add in an extra 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And make sure you sieve it all well so it combines well. I've sieved it a couple of times. I like to do it at least 2 or 3 times. I have got half a teaspoon of salt, and I have got 3 tablespoons of sugar. Now, what I've forgotten to bring out is my butter, which I'm going to do right now. Ha! In my fridge, I have got 100 grams of butter. Now, I like my scones moist and buttery, so I add in more butter. You might find other recipes with less, but I find it nice with a little bit more butter. I don't like it too dry and too crumbly. Now, what I've done is I have cut it into small little pieces, and I've kept it in the fridge because you want your butter cold, but you don't want your milk cold. So it's the opposite, right? Now, this is my take. I like to add in a zest of one orange. This is how my mum likes it now. Ever since I did it a few years ago, she insists that I do it this way. What you get is a beautiful citrusy aroma and tang to the scones. It doesn't really flavor it that much, but it just gives you a little hint. So that's what I put in. And then the last ingredient is just 1 beaten egg for an egg wash on top of the scones before it goes into the oven. And that's it. Simple, easy peasy.
Ashley, welcome to Skits and Quibbles.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you here, and we've just seen you get the ingredients ready to make these incredible scones, which we've got right here. Now, viewers, if you have got all of those ingredients, you've got the time now to go and find them and get ready, because the next little segment, Ashley's going to show you how to put it all together. So I'll give you a little bit of a moment here, or you can pause this because you don't want to miss this chat. So, Ashley, tell me about how you came to cooking.
I've been cooking for the longest time, ever since I can remember. I used to help my mum. My mum used to do a lot of cooking. I'm the youngest of 4.
Nice.
So I used to tag along with my mum when she went to the shops, when she went to the market. So from a very early age, I was exposed to food, to ingredients, to markets, you know, and I would help my mum bake all the time. You know, I would lick the spoon.
Very helpful. That is definitely what we call helping.
Yeah, so from a very, very young age, before school, I would help my mum, and it just continued even after going to school and being in school weekends. I'd still help out my mum. So yeah, cooking's been a big part of my life.
It's lovely, and it's not just scones and you do savoury, you do everything, but you also do cakes.
I do cakes.
Tell me a little bit about, it's wild ginger lily. Well, tell me a little
wild
bit about
ginger lily, yes. I do, celebration cakes. I do predominantly wedding cakes and special occasion cakes. I just fell into it. I loved it. I did your wedding cake.
Yes.
And you were a very, very powerful catalyst to, get me started going, professionally with my website and stuff. So I just sort of, snowballed into that. And I love it.
What I love about all of your food, everything, every time I go around, I just look for food every time I go around to Ashley's house. But what you do is there's so much flair or passion, perhaps, that goes with it. Your cakes, they're all extravagant and exciting. There's always a little bit of zhuzh with your food.
You know what? I think if it's a special occasion, it calls for something extraordinary. It calls for that little extra. It calls for it being a centerpiece, something to talk about. Just because it's something special. It's a milestone. It's a wedding. It's a 50th birthday. It's an anniversary. It's something nice. It's something special. So why not?
Absolutely. I mean, and with cakes and anything that you cook, actually, there can be a lot of pressure because someone's got high expectations of that one moment. And you've shared with me, we're on E360 TV, but we're also on YouTube. You learnt a lot through YouTube.
Oh God! I'm not trained, so I've not had any formal training. But I've picked up a lot of skills from YouTube. People have been extremely generous, and I've learned a lot. And I've watched YouTube, and I've practiced, and I've developed things which work for me. And I think that's the best thing about YouTube, because there's so much out there, but it might not suit everybody. But what it does, it gives you a good grounding so that you can develop from it and expand from that. And that's what I've done.
What do you enjoy cooking the most? I've tried your cakes, and my wedding cake was amazing. It really was fabulous, and it looked beautiful as well. I've tried your savoury foods, I've tried your sweet foods, and you have a lot of Malaysian influence, of course, because it's your heritage. Do you have a favourite?
You know what? It changes. Sometimes I love sweet and I do a lot of sweet, and then I change and I like savoury and I do a lot of savoury. I tend to experiment a lot, and I really enjoy that, and I get huge satisfaction from people eating my food. It gives me so much pleasure. So when someone says, "Oh, Ashley, I like your stir fry, or I like a curry," and I'll do it, and I get very enthusiastic, and when it works out, and I see them enjoying my food, that becomes my favorite, because there's something so fulfilling in having someone deriving enjoyment from something that you've done. And it's not just, ingredients, it's not, but you've taken the time to do something, and there's energy and there's effort and there's thought, and there's a piece of you in it. And when when you see them enjoying it, it just gives you such a wonderful sense of pleasure and achievement and satisfaction. And I love that.
Oh, well, I can't wait to try this. I have got one more question for you first. You do use incredible flavours, and you grow a lot of your own ingredients as well. Tell me a little bit about how this comes about. How do you know and choose what works?
Taste. I know what I like. You know what you like. And the thing is to build on that, so there are flavors that you like, and you think, oh, I wonder if that flavor can pair with that flavor, and how does that work? Yeah. How does that marry? Is it a harmonious combination, or is it like fighting? And that's the only way to learn. It's just to experiment.
I love that. But I think people can be quite scared of that, because that can go wrong quite easily.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, if it's horrible, then you've just got to eat it yourself. Otherwise, it's going to waste. So if exactly. So it's never a catastrophe. If it's inedible, you've lost the time, the ingredient, that cost that you've done. Or like I say, you just force yourself to eat it, and it's not gone to waste. Yeah,
no waste is really important for you.
Very important.
Yeah, tell me. I know that's your upbringing, but
yeah, I mean, my parents worked very hard, and everything they worked for was for their children. Yeah. So everything I have is because of my parents. My father grew up during the Japanese occupation. It was hard for him. So he wanted to make sure that for his children, when it comes to food, there will never be any scrimping. We never had designer clothes. We never had flash trainers or flash clothes, or we didn't have lavish holidays or things like that, or gadgets and games. We never did. But when it came to food, we could eat whatever we want.
Wow.
But then, if we took something, make sure we finish it. It's old school. I mean, you can see sometimes it may not be too good. But what that taught us was to not take so much. Take a little bit, finish it. If you like it, take some more. Yes. But don't pile your plate. Find you don't like it, and then that goes to waste. I remember my nan. Oh, bless her. She made me sit at the table until I finished my food. Everybody had left. She said, "There's no dessert," and I can still remember it was vanilla ice cream with strawberries. That was our dessert. And she said, "There's no dessert for you until you finish your meal." So I sat. But then, when everybody had left the table, she came back into my bedroom and she gave me my dessert. But still, that's but still, it's a thing of not wasting, because you know what? It's food. You shouldn't waste food. It's important because not everybody has that. Not everybody is blessed to be able to have that food, and you've got to really appreciate what you have. And if you throw it away, then it's horrible.
I know. That sort of comes into Chinese culture as well, whereas every single bit of that animal is eaten.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think has always been ingrained into me as well. And just relating to that a little bit, another thing that I've learned from my own background is this whole thing about you need to have the taste and the textures
Yep.
and all of that. You've got the crunch and then you've got the sweetness and the sound. Is that something that's just innate to you, or is there something that you do sort of scientifically put together?
I do a lot of things by touch and feel, and I've got to be honest with you. I am very bad at following a recipe.
Fair enough.
I'm very bad at being strict with a recipe. I like looking at recipes. I like finding out, but I will end up tweaking and doing. Oh, I like a little bit more this and that and this and that, and then it's to my taste. But baking is a science. Baking, you need to be a little bit more precise, especially when it comes to your flour and your raising agents and stuff. You've got to be a bit more precise. But even that, I still like to tweak. So I feel, I taste, I like to smell. It's quite instinctive for me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you've got to use high-end ingredients. You don't need to use truffle every single day, or caviar. You don't.
Yeah.
You can make lovely things with run-of-the-mill supermarket produce.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to watch Ashley mix the ingredients together whilst we enjoy some of what's been produced.
I'm going to sieve in my flour and my baking powder into my mixing bowl. Noisy, noisy. I got this bowl from my mother-in-law. She used this for she was a fantastic baker, and I've inherited this, and I use it all the time. And every time I use it, I think of her. She taught me a lot about cooking because she was just amazing. So this is my family heirloom little bowl. Right, I can now put this aside, and then in goes the butter. Try to break it up so it's all. Now, there are many different ways of doing this. What you want, you don't want the butter to be melting, but you want it to mix in, and it will resemble breadcrumbs. You can use a food processor if you want. You can use your fingers. My nan used to use a knife. My mum used to use her fingers, but I find my fingers are too warm. So I've got this pastry blender, which works really well. And really, it's just a rocking motion. And you're just cutting the butter and mixing it in with the flour and the baking powder, sorry, not baking soda, baking powder. And you just want to do this for a few minutes. And slowly it'll all come together. It'll just cut it, and combine it. I don't know if you can see, it's a bit white at the moment, but once you get the butter in smaller pieces, the color will change slightly. Just get a knife and just loosen up the butter that's stuck on in between. But this is great. This is like 1, 2, 3, 5 knives instead of one. It's fantastic. So really, it's just cutting and rocking and moving. And then, as you're doing this with my salt, this is my ½ teaspoon of salt, because I've got to say, I'm using unsalted butter. I like using unsalted butter because then I can judge and control how much salt I put into the cooking. If you don't have unsalted butter, by all means use salted butter, but don't add extra salt, because otherwise it'll just be too salty. I mean, if you like the salt, if you want to make savoury muffins or scones, you can. This is the beauty about cooking. You can do whatever you like. I mean, it's different if you're selling them, but if you're making them for yourself, try, experiment, do different things. It's the best thing. That's how I found, by adding the orange zest, it just made it really, really nice. It was just by playing around and experimenting and thinking, oh, what can I make something different this time? And it worked. It's gone down a treat. So if you see now, it's slightly yellow and it's beginning to look like sand. And you've got little pieces of butter there, and I just want to continue, let it go a little longer. You don't want the butter to melt into the flour, because otherwise then it wouldn't be nice and scone-like. It'll be more like a cake. Now, I have got my sugar, so that's 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'm just going to add that in. And mix it all together. You can use a food processor if you like. It'll be very quick. But you know what? This is quite good. I like to feel my food and work with it. And there you have it. Look. Can you see? It's yellowy in color and it's like soft sand. Going to the beach. Now I'm going to add the zest of 1 orange. This is how I zest my fruit. I like to do it this way. You can do it this way, but I find it goes everywhere. With this, I can control it more, and I can see where I've zested and which part needs to be zested, if you understand what I'm saying. This should be smelly vision, because you can smell the orange, all the oils. It's just, it's really nice. It's very fresh. Any sort of citrus, orange, lemon, lime, you put it in your cooking and it just elevates it. It just makes it that little bit more special. Now, if you don't like citrus, if you don't like oranges, you can leave it out. It's optional. This is just something which I've added to my scones, which has gone down a treat. But some people don't like it. Some people are allergic to oranges. Then you can't. And it'll be perfectly fine without them. Voila. So we'll give it a little mix. And you'll find these little specks of gold in your scones. And it's really nice. And there we have it. So I've got my dry, let me recap. I've got my self-raising flour, 350 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder. I've got half a teaspoon of salt, 3 teaspoons of sugar, and 100 grams of butter. That's it. Okay, good. Sometimes I forget. And then I do, oh, it's in the oven. I've not put in the sugar. Right. Now, that's done. All that I need to do now, I'll just like to scrape this out. It's a tiny bit, but you've still got butter and a bit of orange zest in it. See, this is my upbringing, my mum. Don't waste that tiny bit, still flavor, which is great. I'm just using the back of the knife. Done. Oh, hello, I didn't see that. Go in, you. Right. Now, I'm going to add in the milk. I don't know if you can see what the acid in the vinegar has done. It's curdled the milk. Look. So that's like, it's made it like buttermilk. But that will help in the rising of the scone, make it nice and fluffy. So this is a bit of a wet mixture, but then it should all come together and it's nice and soft. So I'm just going to pop it in the middle, like so. scrape it out, because like I say, this is how I've been trained by my mum. Don't waste. That's done. And then first, with a knife, just cut it through, just to incorporate the milk with your butter and your flour. So it'll come together. It's nice and soft. I mean, if you find it's too sticky, you can add in a bit more flour, a teaspoon or half a teaspoon. Don't put too much because you don't want it dry. If it's a little bit sticky, it's okay. And it's just coming together. I don't want to overwork it because I don't want it to be like bread. You don't want to work the gluten. You just want to incorporate it like that. And then when you get to this stage, clean the knife down. And with clean hands, just bring it together. I'm not kneading, I'm not doing anything. I'm just bringing the last bits of the mixture together. Can you see? And it's all coming. You see, it's a soft dough, but it's not very sticky. And that's how you want it. Just bring it all in, and that's it. That's the dough done.
I'm Dr. Audrey Tang, a chartered psychologist, and on my show, Mental Health Matters, we take a deep dive into all things mental health and well-being with the experts. So join us at 8 a.m. PST on Thursdays on the Fresh Takes channel, because mental health matters on E360 TV.
So the dough's done. You can just tip it out on a clean surface and pat it out, or a clean flour surface, but you don't want it to stick. What I like to do is to pat it out between two pieces of baking parchment. This way, you don't have to add more flour in, and it doesn't stick to any surface. And this is great. I like doing it like this. So I've got my dough. I just pop it in the middle there. And I'm just pressing it down, just like so. You want it about half an inch thick. So just press it down, press it down, press it down, all together. See, like this, nothing gets dirty. Don't need a rolling pin. You can use a rolling pin if you like, but I find this just as easy. I'm just pressing it down, checking them. How high is it? And it's nearly there. Yeah, that's just about it. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is not shop bought. So it's nice, rough and ready. I have got a little cutter here, I'm making little mini ones, and just a little bowl with just some plain or self-raising flour in it, or whatever flour you've got, just to dust it so that it doesn't stick. So then I'm just going to cut it out. Pop it to the side. Don't forget, keep on dusting. That's going to be wonky. Never mind. I like to use the flat edge. You can use fluted, but I find it doesn't rise as well. Just keep on going. This will make about 15 of these. Enough for one. See, it's nice and soft, but it's not sticky, if you understand what I'm saying. Just gently tease it out. Voila. And then just break this around, roll it out, release the ones that are still in there, and gently take this out, pop it to the side, pop that to the side. And then just gently bring this together again. Nothing too hard. I'm just going to put it in the bowl back and just going to gently press it together. You don't want to, again, you don't want to knead it. You just want it to bring it together so that you can pat it out and then, like that, pat it out and then cut it again. Nice. And just keep on doing this until you finish up all your dough. Side. Just smoosh it together gently. Like I say, you don't want to knead it because you don't want to develop the gluten in the flour. Otherwise you'll end up having bread, which might be nice. But not today, because today we're having scones. I say scones, not scones, simply because that's how I was brought up. My mum said scones, my nan said scones. No, I say scones. But you can call it whatever you like, as long as it's nice and you get to eat it. There you go. Nice. Smushing the last bit together and get a couple more. Yes, I forgot to flour it, didn't I? No. Smush, smush. And it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you don't smush it too hard or you don't overwork it, you can just keep on going. It won't be perfect, especially the last few ones, but it's still fine. It'll taste just as nice, and this, I think, will end up being one very big one. Chef's treat. Okay, done. That's it. Now, that's going to be a bit lopsided, but never mind. I'm just going to clear this out before I continue. Give me a second. A preheated oven of 200 degrees. 200 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but you can Google it. It's easy. So I've got the tray in the oven and it's nice and hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the tray and then I'm going to place the scones on the tray. Don't talk about it, do it. Honestly. Yo, man. Right. Hot tray. There. I'm just going to pop these lovely pillows of yumminess. This is the big one. Big one goes there. There we go. Just place it out nicely. Okay, so how much do I have? 8, 16, and the big one. Did I count correctly? Oh, who cares? It's all going to be eaten right now. So this is just one egg beaten up. That's all. Nothing added to it. No milk, no salt, no sugar, nothing. And I've just got a little pastry brush, and I'm just going to moisten the top of the scones. And what it does really is just give it a lovely color when it's cooked. I'm just going to, I feel like a painter, painting my little pillows of orangey yumminess. My mum's going to kill me when she knows I've baked scones. I've not invited her. Never mind, Mum. I'll make it again. She'll say, why wasn't I told you were making scones? My mum loves scones, so I do it for her often as I can. God, I sound like such a mummy's boy. I don't mind. My mummy's lovely. I mean, she named me Ashley. She must have a sense of humor, right? I don't know. I think she used to love Gone with the Wind. Why didn't you call me Brett rather than Ashley? Oh, Ashley! No. Oh, well. You got to laugh, right? Okay, that's almost done. Lovely. I think I've done it all. Yes, now, this goes into the oven. Okay, I can hold it. It's 200 degrees Celsius at the moment. But what I'm going to do is, once it's in, I'm going to drop the temperature a little bit to 190, so it just doesn't burn. And I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes, and then we'll check it.
Well, I've already finished one of those scones because, so tasty. Oh, my goodness. Now, the interesting thing about Ash, and this is a little bit of our past, I met you at the College of Law. I met you in law school, which, yes, I went to law school. Ashley went to law school. And you practiced as a solicitor for a while. I didn't finish in the end. I did my GDL and then converted to teaching. But tell me about your career.
Well, I didn't actually practice as a solicitor. What I did was I completed my solicitor training.
Right.
So I was very lucky. After the College of Law, I was given a training contract, which it used to be called articles. I'm not sure. I think it's still called training contracts now. So I was given a training contract with this amazing firm, which was run by this wonderful mental health lawyer.
Oh.
She had this firm which dealt predominantly with mental health cases. And she took me in her wing, and it was fantastic. We worked with people with a whole variety of issues, and worked with people who were very, very vulnerable, who more likely than not would have fallen through the nets and been left to fend on their own, if not for someone to say you've got certain things that you can do, and also working with children with mental health issues who had fallen through the net, and to make sure that they had proper education or they had the avenue, the facilities were made for them, and that was great. It was very good work. But as soon as I qualified, I thought to myself, my heart wasn't really in it, and although there was a lot of satisfaction derived from helping people who are vulnerable, I felt like I wasn't being true to myself. My passion had always been acting, and ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to be an actor. I remember going to watch a ballet, and it was a Russian touring company, and I must have been about 4, and we went, and it was a hot little hall. It was, but I remember watching this amazing spectacle in front of me and these amazing talents. I knew I didn't want to be a ballet dancer. I didn't want to be a dancer, but just being on stage and watching a group of talented dancers telling a story through that medium really intrigued me from that very young age. And I remember saying to my mum, I want to be an actor. My mum, bless her, she said, well, you get a degree and you can do whatever you want.
Fair enough.
That's what I did. I got a degree and then I wanted to do whatever I want.
Now that's the funny thing, because when we met at the College of Law, we actually met at a rehearsal. So, and so I know you have actually had a very, and still are, acting. You have had a very successful career, and you're still a working actor.
I am.
Tell me a little bit about some of your favourite jobs.
Well, I've had some amazing work done. My work was mainly stage, and I've worked with some hugely talented people, both in London and out of London, regional theatre companies. Some of my fondest memories as an actor was when I worked doing The King and I in Belfast.
I went to see that. It's wonderful.
Oh, it was just amazing. And I did a Christmas show actually in Cardiff, Arabian Nights, and that was such a wonderful experience as well. And also there was once I did another Christmas show in Keswick, that's up in the Lake District.
Yep, I went to that one too.
And you work with some amazingly talented people who are just so down to earth, so ordinary, but they're just extremely talented, and I love doing that. More recently, I've been doing more voiceover work.
Yeah.
It's just because of timing issues and my availability. It's a sort of longer theatre commitments was not available to me, so I ended up doing voiceover, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I've done a few voiceover work for video games, which is just really a lot of fun.
You see, this is so exciting because my husband plays video games, and it's very cool to suddenly see this character. I know that person. I know him.
You hear my voice going.
You do have such an expressive voice. Yeah, really, honestly.
It's just so much fun, and you can just you play and it's just it's not work. It's that being in kindergarten again. It's just yeah.
And you also do one-man shows.
I've done one-man shows in the past, not recently. When I was a lot fitter. Yes, I've done one-man shows. I did both in London. I've done. At the Edinburgh Fringe as well. That was a lot of fun. When I was younger and fitter. But yeah, huge experiences, which just, stayed with me. I have been blessed. I've been so blessed.
I think it's really exciting when I speak to people like yourself who've had this, not only a portfolio career, but a portfolio of many different careers. And you've been so successful in all of them. You are really good at all of those. It's not even so much the triple threat of dancing, singing, acting, which you can do, by the way. But it is, you're so good at baking cakes. You're so good at cooking. Your voiceover work is phenomenal. Your acting is amazing. And actually, you were a pretty good lawyer.
Thank you. So, oh my God, you're making me blush.
How do you do it? How do you balance it?
Do you know what? I think it's just, I've just been blessed. I've met the right people who've guided me and steered me in the right direction and given opportunities, which I wouldn't have. It's just I may have a guardian angel who's been looking out for me, but I've just got so much to be thankful for, and it's been wonderful. Oh. And I hope to maybe do more things and find new opportunities and try doing different things and experimenting with different things, and that's what life's all about.
Absolutely, and we're going to go back now to just checking how your scones are doing.
Okay, exciting. Here we go. Oh God, it smells amazing. Oven off. There you go. Now what I like to do is just pop it in a little basket and cover it up. So this is my big fat one. And these are the different, oh, they're nice. Oh, nice and hot. Nice soft scones. And they're not all evenly shaped, but hey, it's home cooking. It's nice. This makes me so happy. Food makes me happy. Oh no, it's like the Leaning Tower of pizza. Yeah. There we go. Cover it, keep it nice and warm.
As you know, I've been eating scones all the way through this. I've got some more. Now, one of the other important things to you, and you alluded to this when you were talking about your career in law, is mental well-being. And cooking is very therapeutic for many people. How do you find cooking in terms of well-being?
Like I said, it gives me a lot of satisfaction, not just cooking but cooking for others and sharing my food with others, and that gives me a lot of pleasure, a lot of satisfaction, and it does really ground me, and I'm happy with that. I can't imagine not cooking and not sharing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. It's like a world without music.
Yes.
You know, I think it gives you. It helps you with your mental health. It does ground you. I don't know. Maybe it's the serotonin. It's you know.
And the dopamine of having done it and created it.
Yeah.
But what I also was noticing whilst you were cooking was when you were doing the cutter. Mm-hmm. That was therapeutic in itself. That was so mindful, and it was peaceful, and it was beautiful. And I think it's that little oasis in the day that we need sometimes.
Yes. You know, it does not have to be cooking, but for me that helps. That's my zone. That's my thing. You know, that's helps me. And you know, everybody might have something else. You know, someone might find huge calmness and pleasure in art. You know, in painting or in creating. And that's my zone. That's my thing. I like it. It makes me not just happy, but it calms me. It focuses me.
Everything you do is so giving. Actually, acting is giving to other people. Cooking is giving to other people. Lawyering is very much giving to other people, and that's that service. That's something that you're very passionate about. Actually, I hear it in your voice when you're talking about what you can give back, what you can give to others.
I don't know. I think
it's a language of love.
Well, it is, and I can't think of any other way of coping, of carrying on. I can't think. You know, I mean, yes, I enjoy what I do, but I enjoy doing it with others, and I enjoy giving it to others because it's not just giving, but I'm receiving.
Yes.
From the people that's eating with me, I'm receiving, you know, a lot from them. The gratitude, the love, the happiness.
Yes.
And when I see somebody smile after they've eaten my food, I get a lot of gratification from that. So it's not just giving, but it's also receiving that, and that feeds me. That really nourishes me.
I really get that, because I know, and perhaps those of you with an Asian heritage may connect with this one. The first thing my parents would say when I would see them, or aunties and uncles back in Malaysia, have you eaten?
Have you eaten?
Have you eaten?
You open the door, have you eaten?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Uncle. Then I've No, there's similar. Auntie, Auntie, I've eaten. I'm really full. No, sit down, sit down.
And then if they know you're visiting, it's everybody's house you have to go to.
Yes.
And then now that everyone's on WhatsApp, they all tell each other.
Auntie, I've had lunch. It's okay. It's okay. Just a little bit. Little bit.
It's so true. I remember, my dad, I don't think ever said I love you, but he always said, have you eaten? And he always used to send me off with food. If I would see him, he would. When he found out that my husband liked banana cake, he made every single time he made banana cake. And I think that's really special. I think that's something that's ingrained.
It is because that is saying I love you. That is saying I treasure you and I care for you because. You know, it's not just going, like I say, it's not just getting ingredients. It's getting ingredients, thinking about it, putting your time and effort in producing something and then delivering it, you know. And you can't take away any of that time. Yeah. You can't get it back. Yeah. It's given, you know, and that means a lot.
That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Ashley, I'm so excited that for the next 2 weeks you are going to be taking over this show with your recipes.
You might be sorry.
Oh no, I'm sure I won't be. So we're going to leave it to Ash to play us out with his top tips.
Hello, here's my top tip for the week. Let's talk about what to do when things go wrong. The thing you must remember that things go wrong all the time. Things go wrong for me all the time as well. Not every time does my cook turns out perfectly. The trick is when that happens, don't despair. And whatever you do, don't panic. There's ways of recovering things. I'll give you an example. Sometimes when I'm baking, my cakes don't turn out as I would like them to be. They might not rise, they might drop and fall. After you've taken it out, it looks beautiful, but when it's cool, it's just horrible. Don't throw it away, right? Wrap it up, put it in the freezer. It's fine. Cakes can last in freezers. And then, when you have the time, turn it into something else. If you have a plain sponge cake that's not risen well, or a lemon cake, or whatever, any cake, you can thaw it out, turn it into a trifle, cut it up, soak it in some nice sherry, do a nice dessert, be adventurous, try different things. You can turn that disaster into something beautiful. You could crumb it. If you've got a cake, crumb it, mix it with some buttercream or some ganache. You can do cake pops. That's what cake pops are. Just cakes which have been crumbled up and mixed in with whatever buttercream you've got left or caramel or ganache, and you form it into little balls. That's your cake pop. Pop a stick in. Once it's chilled, pop in some chocolate. Wah! A lollipop of yummy goodness. So there are lots of things that you can do. Just don't panic. That's the key. Don't panic. Don't throw it out, because that'll be a waste. Because you can turn something that's a disaster into something beautiful. And the thing is, no one will know. Only you. So that's it. That's my top tip for the week. Don't worry. It'll be fine. I hope you have a great week. See you again soon.